I don't care what people say, Charizard is one of my favorite Pokemon. It was the very first Pokemon that I ever got all the way back in 1998. Charizard always has a special place in my heart, and today we're going to be looking at a pretty cool Charizard EX deck from the latest set, Obsidian Flames. Hey, Nick from 9Card TCG, and today we're going to be looking at, like I just said, a Charizard EX deck. This is the Charizard from Obsidian Flames. There are no Pokemon 151 cards in here. I know there's going to be another Charizard EX in Pokemon 151. We are not talking about that one. It is just... And in future iterations of this deck, maybe there will be that Charizard, but for right now, none of that. What we are going to do is we're going to go over to the Pokegear app, and I have a link to that in the video description, and we're going to take a look at this Charizard EX deck that I made myself, and like all early deck profiles, this is just a very rough draft to get you an idea of how the deck functions, what the card does, and then we can see how it fits into the meta and how we have to make some changes. But for now, keep in mind, just a rough draft, but I do want to hear your suggestions on how this deck can change and evolve over time. So let me know in the comments below what you think this deck should look like. And yeah, we'll go to Pokegear and take a look. We have Charizard EX, and this is a dark type Charizard. As you can tell, it is not a fire type like Charizard almost always is. This is because in Generation 9 Scarlet and Violet, Pokemon can terrestrialize, meaning they take on a different type. It would have been really cool to see Charizard get a dragon Terra type like it got in the video game. There was a 7-star raid, a really difficult raid back in Scarlet and Violet a couple months ago, whatever it was. And there was a Charizard going around, and it was a dragon type Charizard. So it would have been pretty cool to see Charizard match that, but dark type works just as well. I guess dark dragon would have been crazy not having any weakness, but whatever. The point is, this Charizard is a dark type and is weak to grass, and outside of Meowscarada, there's really no grass, so no weakness for the most part. Pretty cool. Infernal, we also have 330 health as a stage 2 2-virus Pokemon, which is great. We also have Infernal Rain as our ability. When you play this Pokemon from your hand to evolve one of your Pokemon during your turn, search your deck for up to 3 basic fire energies and attach them to your Pokemon in any way you like. This is a really, really good ability. We can go ahead, now it says 3 fire energies. It does not say we have to attach them to a fire Pokemon, so we can go ahead and get this onto any Pokemon we want. So if there's a colorless Pokemon we want to attach these to, we could. So we can throw in a colorless attacker in here if we want and power it up with Infernal Rain. We also have the Charizard itself that needs 2 fire energy. Yes, it's a dark type Pokemon, but it uses fire energy still, so there's still some synergy with this, which is really, really nice. Speaking of our attack for 2 fire energies, Burning Darkness does 180 damage and 30 more damage for each prize card your opponent has taken. You can rack up damage really, really fast with this thing. So you could be hitting for 30, 60, 90, 120 more damage if your opponent has taken 4 prizes. That means after 4 prizes with this Charizard EX, you're doing 300 damage for just 2 energies. And the fact that you can self-accelerate is absolutely monstrous. That means you could have a Charmander in play with no energies. Rare Candy evolved this thing, search your deck for 3 energies, and now you're attacking out of nowhere. We also have this Charizard from Pokemon Go that has the Burn Brightly ability. Each basic fire energy attached to your Pokemon provides 2 basic energies instead of just the 1. This is really cool because we can have multiple, like 1 fire energy on multiple Charizard EXs. So if we have like, say 2 Charizard EXs in play, and then we have an Entei in play, we can use Charizard EX's Infernal Rain to attach 1 fire energy to both Charizard EXs and 1 fire energy to Entei. Now, the Charizard with the Burn Brightly says all of those 1 fire energies actually provide 2, which means for just evolving one Pokemon, we can get effectively 6 energies in play, and we haven't even attached for turn yet. So that's really cool. It's a nice synergy. Is this necessary? No, it's probably one of the cards that we can go ahead and cut. Probably one of the first cards we can cut, but I still do kind of like it. It also provides a single prize attack option. 170 damage isn't bad. And since we you know, the energies are doubled. We only need 2 energies onto this thing to attack with the Flare Blitz, which does 170 damage. Discard all fire energies from this thing, but then we can go ahead and accelerate 2 more energies to it, and now we're attacking again. So pretty cool. It's just an option. You do have like the Moltres in here. If it has damage counters, it does 90 damage instead of like 20 or whatever it is. So there are things we can do. Like I said, we can get colorless Pokemon in here. A lot of options, but another attacker is the Entei V. 230 health on a basic V is pretty good. This is weak to water, of course, but it has the fleet-footed ability. Once during your turn, if this Pokemon is in the active spot, you can draw a card. So it's just nice to be able to draw a card for free. And then Burning Rondo does 20 damage plus 20 more damage for each Pokemon on the bench, both yours and your opponent's, which means you're hitting for a max 220, which is nothing to scoff at. 220 is pretty good, especially since we can power this thing up out of nowhere with combinations of Infernal Rain. We have the Burn Brightly, we have Magma Basin, which Magma Basin, once during each player's turn, you may attach a fire energy from your discard to one of your benched fire Pokemon, and then you would put 2 damage counters on that Pokemon. So if we have Entei on the bench, we can go ahead, use Magma Basin, attach a fire energy to it, and then boom, there you go. Burn Brightly says now we have 2 on it. Or we can just attach for turn. Or we can Raihan. Raihan says we can only play this card if one of our Pokemon was knocked out during our opponent's last turn. However, we can take a basic energy from our discard, attach it to one of our Pokemon, and then search our deck for any card we want. So we don't even have to use Magma Basin if we don't want to. We can go ahead and use something like Raihan, attach a basic energy, attach for turn, and now we're still attacking with the Entei, we're still attacking with the Charizard EX. We have a lot of really good options to attack very, very easily and consistently. How do we get those fire energies into the discard? Well, we have Radiant Greninja with the Concealed Cards ability. Once during your turn, you can discard our energy, or basic energy, I guess it's just any energy. Discard any energy card from your hand to draw 2. So now we're getting really good draw in here. We have the Entei fleet-footed, we have the Radiant Greninja, we have Bibarel, which we can draw until we have 5 cards in our hand. Really nice. We do have 1/1, so maybe you find a space for 2/2 to ensure that you get it, but whatever. So really cool. Final ability is the Lumineon, Luminous Sign. When you play this card from your hand to your bench, search your deck for a supporter and put it to your hand. Really nice. And then, of course, I guess the actual last ability is Manaphy. Protect your Pokemon from bench damage. It is worth noting that Charizard EX has the Terrestrial attribute that says as long as this Pokemon is on the bench, prevent all damage done to this by attacks, both yours and your opponent's. So what that means is that we don't take damage from Rapid Strike Urshifu, we don't take damage from something like the Radiant Greninja, specifically on the Charizard EX. Now, we do need the Manaphy for the very early game against things like Lawstone to protect our Charmanders and Charmeleons from getting annihilated by something like Moonlight Shuriken, especially in like Chien-Pao matchups where they can very easily accelerate 3 energies to a Radiant Greninja and just crush our Charmanders, and now we're in a little bit of trouble. This Charmander, by the way, 1 energy for 30 damage is pretty decent, and that may actually come up at some point in the future, especially if we attack with the Charizard. We have our opponent takes 4 prizes, we attack with the Charizard for 300 damage, and then we need to get that final 10 to 30 damage on a Pokemon EX or Pokemon VMAX or something. Heat Tackle can be the answer, which is pretty cool. As far as the rest of the deck goes, we need to be able to find our Pokemon. So we have 4 Nest Balls, search a deck for a basic Pokemon, and put it directly onto your bench. You can't play this if you have 5 Pokemon on your bench, or if your bench is full, I should say, but still, that's what we got. Ultra Ball, discard 2 cards from your hand to use this card, and search a deck for any Pokemon you want. And Hisuian Heavy Ball, look at your prizes and take a basic Pokemon from your prizes and put Hisuian Heavy Ball in the prizes, so it's like an exchange. We have a couple of copies of Switch. Why do we need Switch? Well, Magma Basin says that we have to attach it to a benched Pokemon, so sometimes we just got to be able to move something out of the active, so we can like promote like a Lumineon or a Greninja, so we can use Magma Basin onto one of our bench fire Pokemon, and then play Switch to get that fire Pokemon into the active and attacking. We have a copy of Super Rod, so we can go ahead and get some Pokemon back into the deck. We can go ahead and get some energies back into the deck, so we can use Charizard. We don't need a ton of energies in the deck because we do, again, have the Magma Basins, we do have the Raihan, so we can get energies accelerated from the discard, but we can you know, we can get way more with the Charizard's ability than we can Magma Basin or Raihan. So we can discard a bunch of energies, but Radiant Greninja, Super Rod them back in, and then play Charizard from our hand to evolve one of our Pokemon, and then get those energies back into play and using them. So it's pretty cool. We have Arven to go ahead and search a deck for an item card and a Pokemon tool. Now, we can go ahead and search for something like a rare candy, which lets us skip the stage 1 entirely, so we can skip Charmeleon and go straight from Charmander to Charizard, whether that's the Burn Brightly or the Charizard EX. Doesn't really matter, we can do either one. Why do we need to do that? Well, we talked about why we want Charizard in play, that's kind of obvious. So we can use Arven to go ahead and get an item card. Item card can be this rare candy if we have the Charizard or an Ultra Ball, or if we have the rare candy, we can go ahead and get the we can go ahead and get the Ultra Ball to go and find the Charizard. Now we also get a tool card, and the tool card we're going to get is Forest Seal Stone. We can only attach it to the Entei or the Lumineon, but that's okay because we're probably going to have one of those in play, and when we do have it in play, we attach the Forest Seal Stone. We can go ahead and use Star Alchemy to search our deck for any card we want. This is a once per game ability, but hey, it's really, really good. So now we have something like the Arven to get us the rare candy and the Forest Seal Stone. Then we can use the Forest Seal Stone to go get any card we want. So we know if we don't have the cards to discard with something like Ultra Ball, we can just go ahead and get the Charizard right away. So it's pretty cool. I do like the Arven. Again, we can play Lumineon from our hand to search for Arven and then get the rare candy Forest Seal Stone. And then we attach the Forest Seal Stone to the Lumineon that we just played. And now we can use Forest Seal Stone to go get any card we want. So we're basically just getting, using Lumineon to get anything we want, plus a rare candy or plus an Ultra Ball or Switch or whatever item card we need. It is worth noting that Forest Seal Stone, I know it says item up here, but that is no longer the case. It is a tool card only. So tools are no longer items. So you can't grab, Forest Seal Stone and another tool. I know it says item. It is no longer an item. Just something to keep in mind. 2 copies of Colress will be the top 5 cards. Put 3 of them into your hand. 2 into the Lost Zone. The reason why we like Colress is because we do need some combo pieces. We have the Charizard and the rare candy that we have to find. So if we have one of those in our hand, we have the rare candy and we need the Charizard, we don't necessarily always want to play a research or an Iono, which will get rid of the cards in our hand. We want to add to our hand to try to find those pieces, and Colress does exactly that. But if we don't have anything we need and we need to see a few more cards, we do have something like Professor's Research, where you can just discard your hand and draw 7. Or we have Iono if we want to disrupt a little bit. Each player shuffles their hand and puts it to the bottom of their deck, and then we go and draw cards equal to the number of prize cards you have remaining. So this is great, especially for the end of the game. We can try to disrupt our opponent a little bit, and it's also really good very early game. We can go ahead and see 5-6 cards pretty easily. We do have 2 copies of Boss's Orders, which lets us bring one of our opponent's bench Pokemon to the active. Really nice if we want to try to chase down something. We got to stall for a turn. We just want to knock out something important to our opponent. There we go. And we have 11 fire energies. Again, we need a good amount of fire energies so we can find them, discard them with Radiant Greninja, accelerate the things with Charizard EX. Maybe we can cut this down if we're definitely going to use the Burn Brightly Charizard. We can kind of spread our energies with Charizard EX a little thin because Burn Brightly will allow us to double those energies. But you do have to be careful because if your opponent KO, like let's say you really cut down the number of energies you have and your opponent plays Boss's Order and knocks out your Charizard, or uses something like a Tinglu to turn off your Charizard. If you don't have the energies to attack because you spread them too thin, or you discarded all of them or something, or you just don't have a lot because you're relying on the Burn Brightly, you kind of put yourself in a little bit of trouble. So we have a good amount of fire energies. We have the Charizard as a backup. It's really just what you want to do. Like I said, this Charizard is probably one of the first cards I would cut at the moment, but I do kind of like it as like a nice option. But yeah, there you go. That's the whole deck. So let me know what you think of this Charizard EX deck from Obsidian Flames. I kind of liked it. We played a game with it. Lauren and I played Tyranitar EX versus Charizard EX, and the Charizard did pretty well. And this is no shade to Lauren. She doesn't play a lot, so she doesn't, some of the obvious plays to more experienced players or things, she's gonna make mistakes. She's gonna misplay. She just doesn't play a lot. And she did really well with it. And she actually really liked the deck. She thought it felt good. It was pretty straightforward, but it still had good power, and she was able to make plays. So, you know, there might be something there. But yeah, that's going to do it for us today. Thanks so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed, found it informative. If you did, like, subscribe, comment, all kind of stuff tells YouTube this is a good channel. Other people should watch it. Like I said before, let me know what you think of Charizard EX in the video description. What kind of changes would you make to the deck? I want to hear from you, but that's going to do it for us today. Thanks so much, and I'll see you next time. I want to give a special shout out to the YouTube members Black Wins, Mike the Highest, Fernando Ortiz, Chin Pokemon, and Eric N. Thank you all so much for your support. It really means a lot to me. And if you want to become a channel member, you can go ahead and click the channel member button somewhere at the bottom of the page. I'm not really sure. I haven't done it myself.